Have you ever heard of the Mandela effect? It seems everyone's talking about it these days, and for good reason. It's a fascinating concept. The Mandela effect is when a group of people remember a different version of an aspect, such as a movie line that doesn't match reality. The book from author Ron Dimming, Mandela Effect Memories, available on Amazon, explores the idea that everything you know is a lie. The Mandela effect encompasses a mysterious set of mismatching memories and is known to cause a surreal feeling. This must-read book explores the possibility of these mismatching memories being caused by false memories, parallel universes, or a simulated reality. Concepts from quantum mechanics might hold the key to narrowing down the possible cause for this incredible phenomena. Imagine, if you will, that memories change over time without you even realizing it. Mandela Effect Memories from author Ron Dimming is available on Amazon in Kindle and paperback. Order your copy right now.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. And before we get into the news story of the day, we've got a big announcement to make. This just came to our attention. It just came out. We are on the list of the best top must-listen to 40 conservative political podcast. We have maintained number 3. We are the number 3 must-listen to best conservative political podcast of 2022. Number 1 is Mark Levin. Number 2 is Glenn Beck's The Blaze. And number 3, The Brian Craig Show podcast. And I want to thank everyone out there in this listening audience for making this possible.
I know, it's shocking.
I know. It's not shocking to me. I know we're
I'm not that we don't have
good
listeners, but you know, we're up with the big dogs here.
I'm telling you. And you know,
it's so funny because when you're on the radio, I'll say real quick, a lot of people come into the chat in the morning and they're like, how did I not hear about this guy?
Well, you heard
like
about
it's
me
like
now.
the best kept secret.
Yeah, I mean, being named last year and this year, named the number 3 must listen to best conservative podcast. You know how many podcasts that are conservative are out there? And
behind Levin and The Blaze, that's
amazing. And Mark Levin and The Blaze have like huge national corporations behind them.
I know. We're just a 2-man band here.
That's right. And we're like Trump. All we have, without the $10 billion, we're like Trump. All we have are our supporters. And thank you so much.
That's exactly right.
And it's
we owe it all to you guys.
It's very much appreciated.
If nobody listens, then what's the point of doing the show? I mean, we could talk to each other all the time. You know, but it's you want to have an audience. You want to have people that actually listen. And I think we have a really nice community, and we have people in the Marco and patrons, and we really have amazing.
It's pretty awesome
support. It's really incredible.
It's really awesome, and you know, I you guys hear me say this all the time. I have been doing this since I was about 19 years old, and it's nice to get recognition because this business is just it. You get recognition like people get in acting. People, it's always negative. And getting some positive feedback, not just from the audience, but recognition, like being named the number 3 best must-listen-to conservative podcast of 2022 is amazing. All right, now let's just jump right into the news. Throughout all of time that I've been following the news, presidents, they've all had children since I've been alive. And there's a rule of thumb that the first children are off limits. They're not to be questioned. They're not to be covered in the news. They're not to be harassed unless they're the children of a Republican president. You know, Ronald Reagan's kids were bothered. You know, that's the way it is. The Bush twins, remember them? They were bothered. And, of course, the Trump children, starting from the first night that President Trump won in 2016, remember Rosie O'Donnell going after Barron? They wake Barron up. He was like 11 years old at 3 a.m. And she said terrible things.
Well, the thing is, what she doesn't even realize what she did is, and a lot of people do this, especially liberals, she basically She said he was autistic or something.
Yes.
And she meant that as an insult.
Yeah.
So she insulted all these autistic families, and she's so delusional and crazy, she doesn't even realize it, but she did not mean that in a way of concern or, any kind of caring. It was to be insulting to him, and like you said, he probably didn't even know where he was. He was probably asleep, and they maybe he fell asleep in his suit on the couch. I don't know, but they woke him up in the middle of the night and made him come out. I'm sure he was happy to do it. It was a big night, but exciting for everybody. And, he was a little out of it. I mean, that's how kids are. But she immediately is like she's a doctor or something. Well, I could tell just by looking at him. She's insane. Well, I could tell a lot of things about her just by looking at her.
Yeah. Now, the Trump verse children just completely harassed. Now, Liz Cheney's Kangaroo January 6th committee are harassing Ivanka Trump, just like Letitia James up there in New York. Listen to this. This is in the Daily Mail. The House committee investigating the January 6th insurrection in the Capitol has asked Ivanka Trump to voluntarily come and speak with them about what she saw that day. I think she should say, no, send me a subpoena. I'll show up.
They've interviewed all these people. Has anything come out of this, or is this just it's more of a fishing expedition?
Everything's been pretty much in secret.
Yeah.
You will anticipate the committee inviting some people to come talk to us, said Benny Thompson. He's the chairman of the committee, told reporters on Capitol Hill today. Not lawmakers right now, Ivanka Trump. It's the second blow to Ivanka.
Oh,
again, I'm reading from the Daily Mail. These are not my words. It's the second blow to Ivanka this week after New York's attorney general went after the former first daughter for being given the option to buy a luxury New York City apartment from the Trump Organization for a third of the value listed on the company's financial statements. So her dad gave her a deal on a condo.
Ivanka's so broken up about this. She was on Miami Beach yesterday playing with her kids.
Exactly. Of course.
She does not care. She's got nothing to worry about.
Of course President Trump's going to give his daughter a break. Ivanka Trump served as an advisor to her father during his White House tenure. She, her husband Jared, and their 3 children moved to Miami after the Trump administration ended. The Trump administration has not ended. It's still in full effect, preparing a re-election run. In its letter to Ivanka, the House committee said they were asking a voluntary interview about what she saw on January 6th, including her father's actions that day and his state of mind as his supporters stormed the Capitol. We propose meeting with you February 3rd or 4th, the panel wrote to her on Thursday. If you are unavailable on those dates, we can arrange a time during the week of February 7th. Ivanka Trump did not say whether or not she would appear.
Well, she should not, I would think. If it's voluntary.
Yeah. The committee has not indicated its steps if Ivanka doesn't appear. It does have the option of issuing a congressional subpoena. The 11-page letter offered new details about the committee and what they have learned about what happened in the White House on the day of the insurrection. Ivanka is the latest member of the Trump family to be targeted by the panel. The committee also sought logs of phone calls and text messages between Eric Trump and Kimberly Guilfoyle, the girlfriend of Don Jr. By the way, that's fiance at this point.
They've been engaged for a year.
Well,
I welcome this committee because I think all these committees and everything are a good thing because they're gonna waste everybody's time. Just like with the Mueller investigation, waste more money. And you know what's going to happen? Nada, nothing. They're going to come out with nothing conclusive.
Yeah.
No accusations, no charges, nothing. And it's only going to help Trump even more because he did nothing wrong. And they're going to come out of here looking like idiots.
Yeah.
Or they already look like idiots.
She was in the Oval Office on January 6th, where she reportedly encouraged him, President Trump, to ask his supporters to stand down during the raid on the Capitol, where they tried to stop, the process. It goes on and on. Listen. This is what they're trying to do, and it's so pathetic. Okay. Ivanka and some others in the Trump family, Don Jr., probably Eric too, were getting text messages from people about what was going on inside the Capitol. Mm-hmm. And they were talking to their father. I want to say Don Jr. may have done this, but at least Don Jr., maybe Ivanka, also texted Mark Meadows about what was going on.
Yeah.
I guess Ivanka was there, so she was getting text messages and telling him. The reason that is because there was information coming out on Twitter from inside the Capitol faster than it was coming in through other sources. And the president is not allowed to have a cell phone that receives text messages for security reasons. So people that saw what was going on were contacting Don Jr. and Ivanka and Eric, and they were contacting Mark Meadows because he can have a cell phone to get to Trump to let him know what was going on. This isn't they're acting like there's a conspiracy going on between the Trump family. It was just they were trying to get information to the president faster than it was coming through traditional channels.
Well, all these text messages, all they prove is that they knew nothing about what was happening ahead of time. They were all shocked, stunned, and they were trying to convince him, apparently, to say something. None of them said, "Great job," or "We did it," or, there was nothing like that. All these text messages from Hannity, Ingram, the kids, too, they all show surprise at these events. They prove.
None of them say things are going according to plan.
Exactly. None of them say that. None of them. You don't see Don Jr. with the high five emoji.
Exactly.
We did it. They're all in a state of shock and stunned. Like, oh my gosh, we got to do something. That should tell you right there. Okay, they're so stupid on this panel that nothing is going to come up. They don't understand that these text messages, that's what they prove. There wasn't anybody in any of these text messages who said, "Great, this is exactly what we wanted." None of that. It was all surprise, shock, and they were all saying, "We've got to calm people down. We've got to stop this. This is not acceptable." So, in my opinion, and I think anybody with a brain can see that there was no conspiracy. Now, Stephanie Grisham, who I call Judas, who worked for Melania for 4 years, only to stab her in the back the minute she left. She's saying Trump held secret meetings in the White House upstairs. Meanwhile, she doesn't know who those secret meetings were with or when they occurred. She is just a damn liar. She just makes things up.
Just because she didn't know about them doesn't mean they were secret meetings.
Well, how does she know they were even secret meetings if she didn't even see them happen?
Exactly. And I'll tell you one thing about this committee. They've been interviewing a lot of people, including they took testimony. They questioned McEnany the other day.
Yeah.
None of this has been on television. Members of the House of Representatives in particular love nothing more than being on television, going after their opponents. You see these committee hearings that are just a waste of time forever on TV, on continuous loop. There's a reason why they've not been showing this on TV, because there is nothing there. If this committee was getting information from these witnesses, they would want it on television so they could show everyone what Trump was all about.
Well,
and none of it has been televised, and these are not classified briefings or hearings. Let us know what you think about all this in the comments, but they need to leave Ivanka alone. And this New York
is going to go nowhere. This is going to go nowhere.
This New York Attorney General now going after Ivanka's apartment. She's as corrupt as Biden.
I mean, you got Biden and Hunter and all their shenanigans and with Ukraine and Hunter's hookers and drugs and all this, and they're going after Ivanka because her apartment was valued a little bit more because of the Trump family name.
And she got a deal.
Give me a break.
Dad gave her a break on it.
Give me a break.
Trump sold his daughter an apartment at cost without profit. That's why she paid
that's what
less.
A nice father does. Could you imagine if he sold it to her at a profit, what people would say?
What a lowlife dad.
Like, what a horrible father he is. I know people liberals like to think Joe Biden's such a great father. Trump actually is. And he sold his daughter a condo at less of the market value because that's his daughter. That's what you do. This is nothing to see here, as usual, like Van Jones and Nothing Burger. Mm-hmm. You got Biden and Joe with all their dealings with these foreign countries and Hunter's art. I mean, Hunter and Joe, Hunter's art, Hunter's hookers, all this stuff going on. Joe Biden, all this corruption going on. No, nobody's going to talk about that. Nobody's going to look into that. But Ivanka gets a deal on an apartment from her dad. The whole world has to come to an end.
You know, Miranda Devine's book, Laptop from Hell, which you have got to get the audiobook version of that. I got the print version on Kindle, and I started reading it, and then I was taking a long drive to Orlando, and I got the book on Audible, and it's much better on Audible when it's being read to you with this great narrator. I don't know who he is, but he's very great.
Oh, I would imagine it's much better on Audible.
Yeah. And Hunter paid prostitutes with Joe Biden's credit card, and a former director of the Secret Service came to the hotel to try to fix the situation with the hooker for Hunter, and he was sent there by Biden, but they're giving Ivanka a hard time because they say that
such a joke.
She charged too much for some chair rentals at the inauguration, and her dad gave her a deal on a condo. Give me a break.
This is going to go nowhere, as usual, because there's no there. And this is an exercise in vanity for these people. Yeah. Liz Cheney's going to lose her seat, and there is going to be a bloodbath in November, which I'm very excited to see. And you are going to see a massive overturning of the House and Senate. The liberals, Biden is totally ineffectual. Nobody listens to this guy, even his own party. Once this happens in November, they will have zero power.
Yep.
But let's see what the Republicans do with this. We know they're almost just as useless.
That's right. Listen, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, there is a lot more to talk about. Don't go anywhere. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll be back right after this.
It's time to budget like a boss. 2022 is going to be a good year, and that begins with a budget. Getting yourself on the right financial track is all about keeping track of your money. And there's an online Excel digital product that can help track spending and expenses, analyze and assess your real financial position, define your savings dreams and your investment goals. Make a plan to lead yourself and your family to financial freedom. Key features of the dashboard include instant download, so you can start right now. It's quick and easy. Manage your finances and don't waste your precious personal time. Effective shouldn't equal hard. This is a digital budget program you can use every day in Excel. Budget like a boss. You can download it right now at payhip.com/B/E_X. That's payhip.com/B/E_X. Do you love to cook and create your own dishes for others to enjoy? Then you need to visit Zenin.com. That's ZEHNEN. At Zenin.com, find chefs, cooks, and culinarians looking to make extra cash by cooking a home-cooked meal for others. This is a personal chef for hire dine-in service, whether it's for a dinner party or a nice romantic dinner for two. Many people would love to hire a professional chef or cook for themselves. The process is simple. Just go to Zenin.com. The cook or chef go to the Zenin app, creates a profile to showcase what they have to offer, as well as a price range. The requesters then browse local cooks or chefs in their area to book their services. There's a growing demand, and the Zenin app can make it happen. If you love to cook and are good at it, you can make some great money doing what you love. The best part of networking through Zenin is that anyone can create a profile and show off their skills. If you're looking to hire your own personal chef, visit Zenin.com. That's ZEHNEN. Also, download the app in the Google Play and Apple App Store. Zenin, the new way to dine in. Does the planet Nibiru really exist? Did the ancients in Mesopotamia really describe it in their text? Find the answers to those questions and more in the must-read book from author Francesco Pastore, Nibiru, the Phantom Planet, analysis of the historical and scientific evidence produced by Zecharia Sitchin. Zecharia Sitchin is a well-known supporter of the theory of ancient astronauts and claimed that the ancients knew all the planets of the solar system. But what's the truth? Zecharia Sitchin was the original author of the hypothesis of the planet Nibiru's existence. Later, many authors relied on this hypothesis by writing hundreds of books. Unfortunately, many of these authors have not bothered to investigate the correctness of the hypothesis until now. Nibiru, the Phantom Planet, analysis of the historical and scientific evidence proposed by Zecharia Sitchin from author Francesco Pastore is available on Amazon in Kindle and paperback. Order your copy right now. Drop your NFT collection with zero coding skills. That's right. ZeroCodeNFT.com is a seamless solution to create a smart contract and facilitate the launch of your NFT collection while keeping the fees to a minimum. ZeroCodeNFT.com offers a wide range of features such as lazy minting. Your customers pay the fees. Batch minting, airdrop. You can surprise people by sending them a free NFT. ZeroCodeNFT.com also offer custom white label solutions as well. ZeroCodeNFT.com, a seamless solution to create a smart contract and facilitate the launch of your NFT collection.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. Now, earlier this week, there was this fake news story about this rift between President Trump and our great governor, Ron DeSantis, where they're not speaking and they're dissing each other. And we're talking about what fake news this is. The story originated in the New York Times. Mm-hmm. Every other media outlet copied, pasted, and plagiarized that story. The New York Times had unnamed sources. It was just ridiculous. And, here we are. We're in Florida. Kathy and I, mentioned that quite a bit, I know. But we are in Florida because we are very proud to be in Ron DeSantis' free Florida. And the mail just came a little while ago, right before the show. I went and checked it. We got a huge letter in the mail. When I say huge, I mean this is like the size of a huge manila envelope, but it's a beautiful envelope from Governor Ron DeSantis. And on it, there is a picture of Ron DeSantis with President Trump, and it says, Governor Ron DeSantis, the Florida firewall. And the firewall is Trump and DeSantis united to keep Florida a Republican state. And there's a long letter in here. I'll just share it, some of it with you. And it's a very good letter. There's a lot of information that the governor sent us. I'm writing you today because I truly need your help. I've become that's the Democrats, and I become their number one target because as the elected governor of Florida, I refuse to follow ridiculous and nonsensical orders from career bureaucrats like Dr. Anthony Fauci or the Trump-hating liberal elite. And that's just the beginning of the letter, and it goes on front and back.
They even have areas circled and starred and underlined
by the governor. By the governor, yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Unlike the liberal bastions of New York and California who voted for Joe Biden's America Last agenda, every single day in Florida we enjoy no state income tax, a flourishing job market, booming home construction, the best environment to live, work, and retire in.
That's true.
And then he says, many Republicans have rightly credited President Trump and the entire Trump family for helping start the stampede towards the free state of Florida. And it's like 5 pages long, signed by Governor Ron DeSantis. I think this is proof positive.
Yes.
And it says, Florida firewall has held Democrats in panic mode.
Oh,
Governor DeSantis wrote on the letter. So I think they are friends.
I don't think this would happen, but I really wish they would run together. I mean, that would be the dream ticket. And I got to tell you, if they ran together, it'd be a slam dunk. It would be a slam. And I'm sure he wants DeSantis to be his running mate. But I just personally, I could be wrong. I hope I am. I just don't see DeSantis being a vice president material. But maybe he would be. Maybe he figures that's his way in. But wouldn't that be amazing after all this? Let me tell you, if Trump and DeSantis ran together, the liberals could not handle it. They absolutely would have the biggest I know they've had so many meltdowns. How many times have we said they're having a meltdown? This, I think, would send them totally over the edge, these two together, because they are a powerhouse, these two guys. And I think it would be an absolute blowout.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Trump's going to do well anyway, but if he had DeSantis as his running mate, I think it'd be a sweep. I really do.
Okay. I'll talk about the problem with that in a second, but Ron DeSantis typically would not want to be the second banana.
Well, I've said that many times, and you disagree with me.
I'm not finished. Okay. In this instance, though, it's different because President Trump only has one more term left,
right?
By the law.
True.
So if DeSantis becomes vice president in Trump's second term, that means he's definitely got the nomination. He'll walk in to be the second MAGA president.
Yeah,
if this was Trump's first term, he would not probably accept it. So that's different. Now, the problem with that is this is something that hasn't happened in a long time, but there's some question about whether the president and the vice president can be from the same state and receive the electoral
that's easy to fix.
College votes from that state. It happened with Bush, G.W. Bush, and Dick Cheney. They both lived in Texas, so Dick Cheney got a driver's license at his house in Wyoming. And
Trump just changed it back to New York.
But the problem is Cheney and Bush are part of the political establishment.
Right.
Trump isn't. So I don't think the media and the parties would say, oh, okay, Trump got a license in New Jersey.
Fixed. That's easily. He has a home in New York. He's from New York.
He's got homes everywhere. He's got a golf course.
Exactly. That's easily fixable.
Kathy, the
it's
Democrats,
a minor speed bump.
Florida is the home of President Trump. And I would hope that Ron DeSantis would change the signs entering Florida. When you drive into Florida, you're now entering the Sunshine State of Florida, home of the 45th president of the United States. I'd like to see those signs. To see that. But
maybe he's not doing it because of what you're talking about.
The Democrats are trying to say that President Trump is not a Florida resident, that you cannot have a residency at Mar-a-Lago, which he owns. So, and he's been fighting them on that.
Do you see where Kathy Griffin is trying desperately to get her career back?
Good luck.
And she said she was not canceled. She was erased. She lost her gig at CNN. She said Jeff Zucker yelled at her when she asked for more money. You know, you reap what you sow. That is so true. And Kathy Griffin, whatever has happened to her, she brought it on herself.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I got to say, Kathy Griffin is very funny. It's amazing all these comedians that are such tragic figures, but most of them are. You have Whoopi Goldberg, Jim Carrey, Kathy, these are people that are supposed to bring light and happiness
the comedians
to your life, and they just bring nothing but negativity. But you know, I always liked Kathy Griffin. I used to watch her show. I think she's very funny. She's a talented lady. I think that her politics overtook her, her emotions overtook her, and she allowed the lies from the liberals to overtake her. And she destroyed her career with one fell swoop in that stupid photograph. So whatever she is dealing with, she brought it on herself. I don't know how she could think that holding that simulated severed head of a sitting president covered in blood, how she could even think that was a good idea. I mean, I don't know what nobody. You know how many people are on a photo shoot? Probably 20, and nobody. Of course, they're not going to challenge her because she's a celebrity. But not one person said to her, "This is the dumbest idea a person could ever have." She brought this on herself, but I will say this. I hope she does get her career back because I like her. She's funny. I don't want to see her struggling. She made a big mistake, but I think she needs to own it and apologize for what she did and say, I made a mistake. I allowed my emotions to get the best of me. I shouldn't have done it. But I have yet to see her say that and own up to what she did. Instead, she's a victim. Well, she's a victim of circumstance.
She would fit in well on The View.
Oh, that she would.
Wouldn't she? You know,
she would. They should hire her. She would fit right in.
But you know,
I'd like her better than Joy. She'd be a good replacement for her.
Before she did the thing with the picture with the head and all that, Kathy Griffin, we used to watch her show on TV.
Yeah, she's very funny.
I like her. She's got some talent. And I'm not into cancel culture, so you know,
I'm not either.
You know, as conservatives, just because they do it to our people doesn't mean we should do it to them. And Kathy Griffin. And I think President Trump would be open to this. If she came forward and apologized and contacted Donald Trump and did a stand-up event at Mar-a-Lago.
That's never going to happen.
Then she get her career back.
That's never going to happen. Let's be realistic here. But I think she should tweet that she
is very, very sorry.
Very sorry. She didn't mean to insult anybody. She knew it was in bad taste. And she might, because must have some new PR for him because they're really trying to resurrect her career. She had that really good gig every New Year's with Anderson Cooper, and they were pretty funny together.
Yeah.
You know, she would just tell jokes and he just giggled the whole time. But she's really funny. She has a lot of natural humor and talent. But again, she allowed, like Jim Carrey with his stupid comic strips, she allowed her anger towards Trump or whatever deep-seated bitterness and problems she had to manifest onto him. And I think that her doing that photograph, when I saw that, I was in complete shock. I don't know what gave her that stupid idea. I can't understand how that even manifested itself and actually became a thing, and how she didn't sit there and think, this is going to destroy my career. She actually thought she'd be like a hero or something. It was just lunacy.
Well, because she was surrounded by people that all hated Trump, so she just assumed that everybody hated Trump.
Yeah.
Now, today, I saw this earlier. It was on Fox. I watched it online. You guys can look it up. Jen Psaki was on with Dana Perino today on Fox News Channel. And in Mediaite, this is the headline of Mediaite. Now, Mediaite's liberal. Jen Psaki's winning appearance on Fox News proves she should do it a lot more. And also Bill Hemmer was there. You know, that interview was the most suck-up interview that you could possibly have, you know, and
because Dana Perino sucks.
Well, Dana Perino was White House press secretary, so she's in this sisterhood of White House press secretaries,
right? And she's in the swamp for sure.
So she called up Jen Psaki, who she's probably been friends with since Jen Psaki worked for Obama, and did this, and it shows you. You know, that it's what Carrie Lake was talking about at the Trump rally on Saturday night. She called the Republican-Democrat establishment the uniparty. And the idea that there are two separate political establishments is a complete lie. It's like the professional wrestling. It's an act for us on television. And this moment with Dana Perino and Bill Hemmer forced into this with Jen Psaki, and what I mean by forced into it, there were not any tough questions. In that press conference yesterday, there was only one question that stands out, and that was the one from Newsmax about Biden's cognitive problems and the American people's perception of it, and they didn't get into that.
James Rosen.
James Rosen.
And he used to work for Fox.
Yeah, he did an amazing thing. And to come do some PR celebrity interview with Jen Psaki after what I believe, and you guys can let us know what you think in the comments, I believe that press conference with Joe Biden yesterday was the worst press conference any sitting president of the United States has ever had, because he was on the verge of a mental collapse. He was so cognitively checked out. I'm not talking, he was pumped full of energy. They gave him something. You know, he drank 4 or 5 Red Bulls or something before he went out there.
Well, Brian, he goes bike riding.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, right. He's so, you know. But he was so cognitively checked out. To me, it's scary. It's dangerous because he's running the country. He's got the nuclear codes. He's got his finger on the button and all this stuff.
Well, the sad thing is he continued to do that press conference off script because he's trying to prove, and even Rachel Maddow, who's so stupid, she said that Biden went long to show Putin he has stamina.
Yes, that's right.
Well, he was trying to show everybody he had stamina. That's what he always does, and it always backfires because he doesn't have stamina. That's the big secret, the white elephant in the room. He has no stamina. Standing up there and fielding questions is fine, but when you give incoherent answers and ramble, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot here. So I don't know what the hell they're thinking with him.
Biden thinks he did great yesterday because he lasted the 2 hours without falling asleep.
Well, that's his gauge. You know, that's his gauge, but that's not the world's gauge.
I saw that. I'm not going to read through this poll, but a poll came out from NBC News today. They talk about fake news. When President Trump's talking about fake news, this is what he means. This is what he's talking about. NBC poll, 56% of GOP voters identify as supporting the party, the Republican Party, rather than Donald Trump. Does anyone believe that?
No.
I mean, that, you know, when
not at all.
You know, when they put out these fake polls, they go overboard with them, and they're just, you know, that's too much.
Yeah.
That is completely absurd. In fact, the majority of Republican voters are disgusted by the Republican Party.
Wait until he starts doing regular rallies. He is going to have crowds bigger than ever. Everybody loves a comeback. And he's going to be the comeback kid. And the more they try to bring him down, the stronger he gets, the more popular he gets. And, you know, people hate the swamp. And he has so many people against him. I mean, I don't know how the guy sleeps at night, honest to God. So many people, but people hate the DC swamp. That's why they love Trump.
That's right. Now, I want to welcome all of our new Patreon supporters. We have new Patreon supporters that have joined us. Thank you so much and welcome. And I want to, of course, thank our top Patreon supporters who get a live on-air thank you shout-out on each and every podcast episode. The names you're about to hear are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, Gary, ETW, Chuck, D, Pamela, Jacqueline, Rick, Rich, and Nick. These are our top Patreon supporters. Thank you so much. And if you would like to support the program by becoming a Patreon supporter, there is a link in the description of this at every episode, a direct link on my website, briancraigshow.com as well. And the direct link to our Patreon page is patreon.com/real Brian Craig Show. Patreon.com/real Brian Craig Show. We'll take our break and be back right after this. Don't go anywhere.
There's a new podcast you will want to add to your playlist, The Christian Apologist. The Christian Apologist tackles some of the hardest questions asked of Christians about why they believe in God and Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior. They provide credible answers to some of the world's toughest questions using philosophy, physics, astronomy, biology, archaeology, historical facts, and so much more to provide evidence for the existence of God and Jesus of Nazareth. The Christian Apologist have expert guests, debate atheists, interview other Christians, and apologists. They just talk about all the hard questions people are asking. Find The Christian Apologist on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcast, and your favorite podcast platform. And make sure to check out their website, thechristianapologist.net. There's a new episode every week. Add The Christian Apologist podcast to your playlist right now. Your big day is about to happen. A wedding. It's special and it's the biggest event of your life. You want to capture that special day perfectly, and the right videographer can make all the difference. This is where Megapulse Media comes in. Megapulse Media is a professional wedding videography company located in Greenville, South Carolina. Owner Matt Jordan is a local who was born and raised in Greenville. He has years of professional experience working with weddings and events. He covers Greenville, South Carolina, and the surrounding areas. When you visit megapulsemedia.com, you can see his portfolio, and you will quickly understand Matt is the man you want for the job. He will make your wedding video extra special, fun, and romantic. Visit his website, megapulsemedia.com, for a free consultation, or call Matt directly at 864-640-9355. 864-640-9355. Your personal style and home say a lot about who you are, and decorating your space as well as your wardrobe can make a true statement. Adding a little pop of color to your space and yourself always makes things better. The Etsy shop, My and Cara Love, available at myandcaralove.com, offer amazing handmade African print lampshades, throw pillows, blankets, accessories, and more. Designer Wumi specializes in designing custom-made soft furnishing, accessories, and clothing using African prints. Since we're all spending more time at home these days, it's a good time to invest in your living space. And myandcaralove.com has the perfect item to help you do just that. Lampshades. They're a great way to add some personality, color, and style to your home or office. myandcaralove.com has many great designs to choose from. New designs and items are constantly being added to the store. Check out the handmade items right now online at myandcaralove.com. That's myandkara love.com. myandcaralove.com.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Welcome back. Kathy, during the break, you showed me something which is really twisted. There's an article in the New York Post. Kathy tweeted this on my Twitter. She retweeted it. And it's a picture of Fauci in his office at home. Mm-hmm. And on the wall, he has a painting of himself on the wall over his desk. It's a big painting.
It's a big painting.
I mean, it's a huge painting.
Yeah, bigger than him.
Yeah, I think it might be. And it looks like it's like all fancy, like who's that one guy from the 70s, Leroy?
Neiman? Not really, but kind of that style. It's kind of a modern.
Yeah.
Either he commissioned it, I'm guessing, somebody sent it to him, like a sycophant, because he probably does have people that send him things like these crazy liberals that think he's like a hero. He also has a bobblehead of himself. I didn't know there were Fauci bobbleheads. We're missing that one. He has a bobblehead of himself. Mm-hmm. Brian has a bobblehead of Trump and Biden that was given to him.
By Debbie.
By Debbie. But we don't have any bobbleheads of ourselves.
Well,
of course, they don't make them, but still.
You can get them custom made if you wanted to.
We could.
No, and I know what some people are saying. Well, Trump has his name on everything. Trump created a brand, and he created a brand that involved marketing for real estate empire. Fauci is supposed to be a medical expert, and when someone has a picture, a painting, it's a painting that big of themselves over their desk at home.
That's weird.
That's someone whose ego is so out of control that it's frightening, and it says a lot about their mental stability.
Let me ask you, did Trump do a presidential portrait?
They all do, yeah, sure.
Did he do his? I can't remember what it looked like.
It's up in the White House somewhere.
Okay. Well, that's a little different. That's
and he will be again, but he was president of the United States.
That's tradition.
Now, I wanted to play this audio. This is just insane. Now, DirecTV is canceling One American News. DirecTV is owned by AT&T. It's unclear as to whether or not AT&T Cable is going to carry OAN, but definitely DirecTV is not. Their contract is up in April. They're not going to renew it. Mm-hmm. And Eric Bolling said a couple of days ago, he was talking about this on Newsmax. And I got to say, Newsmax has been doing a lot of coverage of this removal by DirecTV of One American News. Mm-hmm. But Eric Bolling said that One American News, 90% of their viewership is from DirecTV.
Right.
Which, that if that's true, they won't be able to survive without it.
No, they won't.
They could find some online platform like Rumble or something, may work a deal with them, but they won't be able to survive.
No, this is a death blow.
Yeah, it's really bad.
Yeah,
it is.
They're done.
And there's no doubt about it. It's political. And I want to play this clip from Dan Ball, who I've not heard of Dan Ball before. I've seen his face on promos on OAN. Never seen his show. He's on One American News, I believe, at 8 o'clock Eastern, up against Tucker Carlson and Stitchfeld over there at Newsmax. And he just went off. The chairman of the board of AT&T, who's responsible for this decision, was appointed to the FCC board by President Clinton, and he was appointed by President Obama, the ambassador to the European Union. So this is hardcore Democrat. And Dan Ball went on the air and did something that no one has ever done in the history of television in a situation like this or any other. Not only did he call out the chairman of AT&T, he's enlisting the help of viewers to dig up dirt on him. Listen to this. This is crazy. Listen, this is Dan Ball from One American News, very upset at them being pulled off of DirecTV.
I'm going to remind you every single day from now through April, when our contract is allegedly going to be up with DirecTV, that we need your help. If you want free speech, if you want freedom of the press like I do, if you enjoy watching One American News and this program, Real America, then please help us, folks. That is the chairman of AT&T, William Kennard. You heard me earlier describe who he is, his background, his connections to the Obamas and the Clintons for decades. Call AT&T's support line. Complain. Raise hell.
Okay. Now that's normal. I've seen things like this. Call this number, complain. Even Fox Business used to do this thing. Call your cable system and demand that they carry Fox Business. But what he does next, Dan Ball, is what has never been done before in television and quite likely will never be done again. Listen to this.
Email, phone call, daily, every hour. Set the alarm on your phone. Blow the phone lines up. Demand they keep OAN. This is censorship at its best, folks. This man is doing nothing but a political maneuver by pressuring DirecTV, since they own 70% of them, to take us off the air. And oh, by the way, I'll just add this at the end. If you've got any dirt on Mr. Kennard, I'd love to see it and put it on this program. You bring me concrete evidence of whatever it may be, cheating on his taxes, cheating on his wife, saying racial slurs towards white people. Folks do that. Whatever it may be, find it for me. Bring it, and we'll air it.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Eric cheated on his taxes, cheated on his wife, making racial comments about white people. Oh, my goodness.
I see in the future something with Mike Lindell getting involved in this somehow.
With One American News?
Yeah, bringing them over to Frank's Beach, or he's already got Emerald Robinson over there. She used to be with OAN. I could see him working something out, giving them some kind of a platform on his platform, giving them something. I could see that happening in the future. You know, if he does that, I think that's a really smart move to offer an area for these people they're getting canceled to go to. And I think that would serve him really well. I think it'd be a smart move, don't you?
Well, yeah. Here's the thing, okay? Now, I have been saying for quite a while that One American News is boring, okay?
Sorry,
that they're
I keep
boring.
Getting these spam calls.
That's okay. Turn the ringer off. Yeah. That One American News is boring.
Oh.
And
he doesn't sound boring.
Dan Ball is not boring.
No.
I mean, there's no getting around it. But the reason that One American News is being dropped by DirecTV is not just because of politics. That's the major reason they do a lot of investigative reporting, but it's because of things like that. They don't play by the rules, and they can't be controlled. And they are getting rid of them. And
they talk about, you know, since they came around, a lot of stuff that other networks won't discuss. And
that's right.
And they go there.
Yeah. And the reality is that if you're going to, you know, when you're on, you know, they're on cable, that's One American News. You know, we first discovered One American News back in 2015 during Trump's first campaign. And what had happened, how we started watching One American News, is the cable networks in the beginning of Trump's first campaign, CNN, MSNBC, and Fox News, always carried the Trump rallies when they thought it was a joke. Mm-hmm. And then when they realized that, wait a minute, this guy could win it, they stopped carrying them, right? Even Fox stopped carrying them. And One American News did what Right Side Broadcasting on YouTube does now. They carried every rally no matter what. If there were 4 rallies a day, One American News carried them. And on Saturday and Sundays, we had our television locked on One America News because they carried every Trump rally and no one else was carrying them.
Yeah, true.
And then after a while, other things started happening after the when Right Side Broadcasting came up. So we started watching them over there. And when they went back to just regular news, when the Trump rally stopped because President Trump was busy running America, it wasn't much over there for me. And I know this guy seems very exciting. There's no doubt about it. He's not boring. But One American News during the day has not really grown. And I've gotten so many people that are angry at me because I've said that One American News is boring. It doesn't mean that they don't do great investigative reporting. They have done incredible investigative stories.
Some of their anchors, especially some female anchors, just were so terminally boring. I literally could not watch. I would fall asleep because they talk like this. They're very monotone and they just blah, blah, blah. And there was like no inflection in their voice. They were like almost robotic. Mm-hmm. They had good stories. It was the delivery that I had the problem with on a lot of their daytime shows. And you would put it on and like 15 minutes later, I'm like, I am falling asleep. I hate to say this. They have good content, but they need to get better people on here that can deliver this. I mean, they don't have to sing and dance, but, you know, have a little inflection in your voice where, you know, put some emotion a little bit instead of talking like a robot and so monotone. I couldn't handle it.
But
they had good specials.
They still have people there that do great investigative work.
Oh, yeah. That bald guy's really good.
But from time to time, they would bring in somebody like Jack Posobiec, and he left, and a few others that are very good.
Liz Wheeler was really good.
Liz Wheeler, she left.
Ledger.
Yeah, Ledger was great.
He was really good. I don't know what happened to him.
I guess he left, but I've never really gotten a straight story other than that people can't make a living working there, and people got to be able to do that.
I watched him and Liz Wheeler. They were both really good.
Yeah, he was very good. Ledger, Graham Ledger was spectacular.
Yeah, he was really
He's
good.
Still around. In fact, Graham Ledger's has a show on Frank's Beach.
I found somebody that might – oh, really? See, that's what I'm saying. They're all going there. I found somebody that might love Trump more than you.
That's impossible.
Greg Kelly. No, that guy loves Trump. No. Like I have never, like you, I have never seen somebody on TV.
Not more than me.
If you want to watch somebody
maybe
on
equal.
If you want to watch somebody on TV who's not only loves Trump, but is good, you got to watch Greg Kelly. That is my favorite news commentator show. He has great content, and he just really is passionate about so many things, and he's funny. He is funny as hell, and I think his show is not only entertaining, it's informative, and he tells you things that he has great producers that you may never have known. You're like, wow. And he is hilarious. He talks about what's currently going on. Mm-hmm. I like Eric Bolling, and I was so excited about his show. But the problem with Eric Bolling, a lot of his stories are old news. I don't understand. He rehashes a lot of old things sometimes and talks about things. Greg Kelly is current. He is talking about what's going on that day, sometimes like right before the show. I mean, he is on top of it. The guy is a rock star.
He's very good on Newsmax, 7 o'clock Eastern, and he's
fantastic.
Very good. He's
very
good.
too. Right after him is great.
Now, this guy, Dan Ball, I don't think he's going to get hired by Newsmax because...
No, not after that.
That kind of stuff scares people because they say to themselves, well, what if he gets ticked off at us? Is he going to go on the air?
Which I can understand.
But I think I started realizing because I'm realizing that, Mike Lindell, what he is doing with Frank's speech is not being appreciated because what's going to...
I'm telling you, he's growing something over there.
He is putting together a collection of things, right? He... Emerald Robinson, who left Newsmax, I think Newsmax dropped Emerald Robinson not because of her thing with Twitter. I think they wanted to bring in James Rosen because he's like connected with sources and things.
And that was their way to do it?
Yeah. I don't know for sure. That's speculation. But Emerald Robinson, who used to be with One American News and then was the White House correspondent for Newsmax, Mike Lindell has hired her and given her own show on Frank's speech. And Right Side Broadcasting are doing things with Frank's speech. What's going to happen one day, we're going to wake up one day and find a transformation at Mike Lindell's Frank's speech like we saw with Newsmax TV. And something is going on over there because...
I'm telling you, he's going to hook up with these OAN guys.
He is, some of them, like this guy, Dan Ball.
He's going to give them a platform.
He'll probably be on Frank's speech. He is putting together a network of talent. And these people have followings. That's
why it's important
they're influencers.
To support him because I don't know if Frank's speech is lucrative right now other than through his personal
Newsmax
companies.
Wasn't in the beginning. Yeah. Mike, listen.
He's funding all this with his own money.
Mike Lindell is a brilliant, brilliant guy. The media don't like him like they don't like Trump. He invented that patented fill in the MyPillow. And that is... It's an invention that's so simple because it's so brilliant. When there's a great invention, oftentimes it seems, anybody could have done. Well, no one did it before Mike Lindell.
I mean, this is a guy who was like an arrested drug addict, and
that's right. And now
he's the CEO of a multi-million-dollar company,
and he's got this thing
and hanging out with presidents.
And Newsmax was on the air for years before it transformed into the form that it is in now, and. Those of you that remember Newsmax back in the day when they first started out was like at a Frank's speech level. It had very low technical abilities. Right. It was just like one camera filming a person without a television studio for a long time. And overnight, just one day, we turned it on and it was transformed into what we see today. Yep. Mike Lindell
it's even transformed more since then.
Mike Lindell is doing that at Frank's speech. I don't think people realize this. And, Right Side Broadcasting, who's been partnered up with him for about a year, if you've ever seen Right Side Broadcasting in action, they have like a traveling television crew.
They have grown. I mean, they started with really just like one guy with a camera, a couple people on a shoestring budget, and now they've got a whole crew. They have amazing, and Trump called them out. He's like working with them. He's like, I think he's giving them access.
I think we're going to find
never had before. Well, wait till the rallies really.
We're going to find something with Right Side and Trump's social media platform.
Yeah, but he's working with them directly.
But I'm telling you, Mike Lindell, you heard it here first. I'm telling you this. Mike Lindell, at some point, will buy a TV station somewhere. He'll have a TV studio like they have at any other news outlet. It's all these people, Emerald Robinson, Right Side, all these people are going to have shows there. And, we were talking
Well, I don't know if that's a great idea because he'd have to worry about the cable. He'd have to worry about the same issue with OAN.
Not necessarily.
Unless he gets his own satellite like Jim Baker.
No, not necessarily. What I would imagine is he'll be doing this. He will local cable places sell time on cable.
True.
And Steve Kane and I, years ago, we had a Steve Kane television show that was on cable access here in South Florida for several years, about 5 years. And it was a very strange show. And
very low budget.
It was lower than low budget. It was the lowest budget show in the history of television.
I think so. There was no budget, basically.
We would have to hire cameramen and we'd pay them $20 for the day.
Yeah.
And things like this. But
can people find that if they Google it, Steve Kane TV show? Or
I have
I see Steve a lot younger, that's for sure.
There is one,
and you.
There is one episode on Vimeo of you just look Steve Kane up on Vimeo. I'm not going to tell you what the show was. I don't want to say what it was about.
Yeah.
But you look it up. It's on Vimeo. It was one of the more interesting shows we did on cable access.
Did some provocative stuff.
And when you find that, remember that aired on cable television. So what I mean is you don't have to go to the executive level. You can buy time on the local cable affiliates in different markets, and it's not expensive, especially these days. It's very cheap. Mike Lindell's working on something, and it hasn't been fully realized yet. And it's only a matter of time before we pull up one day and there's a satellite truck that says Frank's speech on it at Trump rallies. And I'm telling you, I would imagine the first stages of this we'll start to see after the midterms are over. When Trump
Things
announces,
are really going to kick up then in November.
When Trump announces he's running for president again officially, we're going to see that. And he may, Mike Lindell might buy a TV station. There's a lot of TV stations around and run the operation out of there and then have it on local cable in different markets. Believe me, he knows a lot about making money because he's a very, very successful businessman, Mike Lindell. And he knows a lot about getting on television because, he's got My Pillow ads all over television for many years. So he knows his way around media. And conservative media is a very hot property right now. That we're the number 3 must listen to conservative podcast of 2022.
Yeah, we're a hot property.
And the reason that is because there's a thirst out there for good conservative MAGA programming.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Well, because it's been canceled everywhere in so many places. People have been deplatformed.
This thing we were talking about earlier with this sucky interview with Jen Psaki on Fox News today. Fox News is they are beyond the beginning of the end of Fox News. They're still number 1, okay? But that's not going to last forever. They got Newsmax TV in the rearview window.
I think that interview was – I didn't see it, and I don't like Dana Perino. I
saw it.
I used to watch Bill Hemmer every day, but I don't like her at all. But I think that interview was a big mistake. And from what I've read, I'll have to watch it. It was a big kiss-ass interview. They're friends, and it shows you how many people at Fox are really ensconced in the deep state, especially Dana Perino.
It'll be amazing.
For sure. She's connected.
I'm telling you, it'll be amazing. And what Mike Lindell does with Frank's speech, it's going to blow people's minds away. You know it. I'm telling you.
You never know.
He's amassing too many people that are top talent.
He's building something.
Yeah. Well, listen, we're out of time, but we'll talk to you next time. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Thanks for listening, and we will talk to you next time.
Are you someone who likes France and all things French? Then there's a book from author David Newton Dunn that you will want to add to your must-read list. Secrets from a Stranger, available on Amazon. Secrets from a Stranger is a new French thriller. It's a real page-turner. A long-haired stranger asking too many questions shatters the lives of 30-year-old Camille and her famous mother, who won a gold medal at the age of 17 in the 1936 Olympic Games. Mostly set in France in the 1960s, readers will also visit pre-war Berlin, Paris in the 1940s, and London before murders are unleashed and a desperate, pulse-racing manhunt ensues. Camille is disenchanted back in France after living in London and falls for the mysterious stranger who arrives in the village under suspicious circumstances. She stumbles over secrets and makes terrible decisions which endanger her life and her mother's. She never loses hope and tries untiringly to get her life together, only for a trap to close around her and greed to lead to murder. Intermingled with echoes of the last World War, the French resistance, and the plight of the Jews, Secrets from a Stranger is deeply psychological and relentlessly suspenseful. It's full of twist and high emotions and will keep readers who like Europe and historical fiction on the edge of their seats. There are so many details that show the author's exceptional knowledge and love of France. Secrets from a Stranger is perfect for book clubs, those who have traveled to France, have a trip to France in their future, or have always dreamed of visiting France. Available in Kindle, paperback, and hardcover editions. Secrets from a Stranger from author David Newton Dunn. Order your copy right now.